Just trying to survive and learn to love along the way by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 81, Chapter 81 of Trial and Error. Eijirou didn't think the courtroom would be this big. He'd been expecting something similar to what you see on TV. Something small with just enough room for the main cast of characters. This room is probably bigger than his house. There are few people in the back rows when he passes by them, but the front is absolutely packed. He takes note of where Present Mike is, sitting up on his way, and the pro hero gives him a reassuring smile. Eijirou has no clue why there's so many people here, and it only adds on to his nerves. He stays calm for the first part. Yue's lawyer asks him stuff they've already gone over a ton of times. It's not easy, but it's stuff he was expecting. So of course the Hero Commission messes it up. Could you explain why you froze up when Touya Todoroki ran at you? He sucks in his breath. He tries to stay calm. Suzumi-san told him to expect something like this. I was remembering the attack at the training camp. Are you referring to the event where he killed one of your classmates and permanently scarred you? Eijirou yanks his arms off the table to rest in his lap. The scars aren't awful. His quirk stood up decently under the flames, and the doctors had done a good job at reducing it. But that doesn't mean he's not sensitive about it. Yes. He finds Present Mike in the crowd, and finds his teacher frowning. And how can you be sure that he wasn't attacking you again? Well, I thought he was, for a second. But we were all told why he did everything, and I trust my sensei. Even if I thought he was going to hurt me, I would have been proven wrong immediately when Endeavor attacked. Why are you so sure it was Endeavor that attacked? He's the only one who could have. There were 3 people with fire quirks in your immediate vicinity. Well, Touya was protecting me, and Shouta was protecting Izuku. He can't exactly refer to his classmate by last name, when the other people in question all share the same one. When you were under attack, why didn't you use your quirk to get the both of you to safety? It's clearly effective against fire. Eijirou hesitates. He thought about this a couple times. It would have been the smart thing to do, since he withstood Touya's fire, and that burns hotter than Endeavor's. But in the moment, he couldn't even think, could hardly even breathe. So how could he have planned on doing so? Well, he realizes he's been quiet for too long. I was scared. He says it quiet, but it's loud enough for those up front to hear. Shouldn't you have been able to push through that? You're training to be a hero after all. What does that have to do with anything? Eijirou looked to Suzumi-san, a little panicked. Your Honor, this line of questioning is irrelevant. Not completely. Eijirou's had the thought before. He'd always shoved it aside. But now, having a lawyer shove it in his face in front of so many people, it's extremely disheartening. He raises a clenching and shaking fist to wipe at the tears gathering in his eyes. Objection sustained. The judge looked indifferent as Eijirou... Objection sustained. The judge looks indifferent at Eijirou, reliving his trauma, and the Hero Commission lawyer frowns, but moves on. I understand that you use your quirk to protect Touya. I did. And in doing so, you received a permanent injury yourself. The man gestures to Eijirou's ear, and he could see some of the jury peering to look. He covers his hearing aids. Yes. He needs to wipe away his tears, but it's either people see his tears or his brightly colored hearing aids, so he keeps his hands where they are. Your Honor, this has nothing to do with... Exactly. The Hero Commission lawyer interrupts Suzumi-san. This boy wasn't hurt by Endeavor. He was injured by the traitor that was posing as his classmate. The only person injured in this event was his criminal son. That's not true. Eijirou doesn't mean to raise his voice, and the look on the lawyers' faces tell him that the man did not appreciate it. The judge takes in the tears and doesn't comment on the noise. Oh, were you hiding a physical injury that wasn't reported? No, nothing physical. Eijirou deflates a little at the grin on the man's face. Then please explain how Endeavor-san harmed you and your classmates. It was scary. He didn't even care about the people he was hurting to catch the villain. It's really hard to see a pro hero attacking for no reason. So you're saying that you're hurt because it was scary? Eijirou nods, eyes shutting tight. Son, if something like that scares you, then maybe you're in the wrong profession. His eyes snap open and he stares at the lawyer. Not that his blurry vision does him any good. There's a few easier closing questions that he somehow stumbles through, but Eijirou feels stuck on the comment the lawyer had made. When he'd told he could leave, it takes everything in him not to run down the aisle. He doesn't care if he looks stupid, so he keeps his hands over his ears as he walks, and ignores the stares from the people in the benches. Eijirou walks right past the guard, who's supposed to take him to the new room, and ignores his attempts at getting his attention. He makes a few blind turns before stumbling against a random wall, and sliding down until his butt hits the floor. He very carefully removes his hearing aids, and takes a moment to stare at the bright orange X on them, before shoving them in his pockets. He then brings his knees up to his chest, and lays his arms on them, hiding his face in the opening. Without his hearing aids, everything literally becomes out of sight, out of mind. It's easy to cry like this. He can't even hear the pathetic noises he's making. That's probably how he's found so quickly. 1 second, he's wallowing in his own misery. The next, there's a warm hand on his shoulder. Eijirou jerks back, but he can't exactly go far. He finds himself staring into the warm eyes of President Mike. Where are your hearing aids? The teacher takes a seat across from him in the hallway. Took them off. Didn't want people staring. President Mike Sensei nods, but doesn't mention them further. Are you okay? He shakes his head, and rests his chin on his arm. You shouldn't pay attention to what the lawyer was saying. Why not? It's true. President Mike stands, and Eijirou readies himself for the sadness of their teacher walking away. Not that he blames him. Half the reason he came over here is because of what the lawyer said. It's true. He doesn't need to break down and cry because this is all stuff he'd rather not think about on top of having his trauma dragged out one by one. Except, President Mike doesn't leave. He sits down next to Eijirou and wraps an arm around his shoulder. He leans into the warmth and focuses on the vibrations as President Mike hums some song he can't hear. Eventually he pulls away. President Mike should be back in the courtroom, and Eijirou should probably make his way to their waiting room. The lawyer only said that to upset you. You're gonna make a great hero, Red Riot. Eijirou shrugs. He wants to believe his teacher. But it's hard when somebody who represents the Hero Commission tells him he's in the wrong profession. What would Bomb say if he saw you like this, because of what he said? President Mike is too perceptive sometimes. That I'm being dumb? Well, I wouldn't go that far, but don't let your insecurities overcome you. Eijirou nods. He believes him for now. And getting yelled at by Katsuki for these thoughts later. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the hearing aids so he could put them back on, which is easier said than done. Usually he does this in front of a mirror. It's really hard to get it on right otherwise, and he doesn't want to spend the rest of the day in discomfort. President Mike nudges his side. Can I help? Eijirou nods, grateful for the assistant, and hands over the aids. President Mike's hands are gentle when they make contact with the side of his head, and he grabs a hearing aid in the right spot in no time. Without his teacher even having to ask, Eijirou hands over his other aid, and turns. It's on in no time, and his teacher is just helping him to his feet when footsteps round the corner to their hallway. Ah, there you are. Eraser was worried and sent me to look for you when I got to the room before you did. Hawks yelled at them from his end of the hallway. Guess we better be going, listener. Hawks will tell you to go to Shouta. Eijirou nods and hesitates for a second before moving. President Mike doesn't waste a second in wrapping his arms around Eijirou when he goes for a hug. They both let go after a minute, and Eijirou hurries to meet up with Hawks at the end of the hallway. President Mike gives nice hugs. Okay, so this gave me a subtle view of how hard they're gonna go on with Todoroki, and unfortunately seeing how hard they went with not Izuku, with Kirishima, right? I cannot even imagine how hard they're gonna go on Todoroki. They're gonna eat him alive. They're gonna eat him alive! And it's gonna be even worse for Touya. Because I'm pretty sure they're going under that whole... For a second there in the beginning, they were trying to go under the perspective of, like, are you sure Endeavor was the one that, you know, attacked? There were 2 other people with fire quirks. That route kind of failed, right? So they tried to go through the route of, well, Endeavor didn't harm you, right? He only harmed his criminal son. Notice how he didn't say son. The lawyer did not say his son, or Touya. The lawyer reduced Toya's name to criminal son. Not even son, just criminal son. Why? Because he's a criminal. And they're trying to play into that by being like, oh, look at this. He's a criminal. Would you look at that? Which, if the other lawyer, the UA lawyer, is really smart about that, they could play on that, be like, okay, yeah, his son's a criminal. Let's go about that. Hey, Touya, why are you a criminal? Endeavor. Interesting. Right? They could play it in that route, but that's a... It's a wobbler in the sense of, like, it could either fail epically or high risk, high reward. Right? Kind of situation, right? It could backfire on them. Right? So it's understandable if they don't go that route because, again, it could very much backfire. Right? But... It's interesting to see how they're gonna go with it, and I'm scared. I'm scared of how it's gonna affect the others, and I wonder, I really want to be here and see each one of them on trial, right? So, chapter 82 is of lawyers and probing. Izuku knows his turn on the stand won't go well when his dad isn't in the crowd. Oh no, my baby. Oh no! Okay, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.